Tooney tweets while AEW burns. It's time for the Headlock Headlines, Episode 2. Hello everyone, I'm Marvin, and I'm the Movie Monster. Welcome to Tooneytown Wrestling and the second episode of Headlock Headlines. Unless I think of a better name, because I'm still not sold on this. The wrestling news cycle is never slow, thanks to a certain Ritalin-fueled son of a billionaire, and this week was no different. From Twitter screeching that ultimately undermined a young talent, to the rise of a potential new competitor, there's a lot to cover. So let's dive in. Whenever people start the narrative about WWE's supposed monopoly over wrestling, and how there hasn't been a major challenger to the house that Vince built since the days of WCW, I always have one response to them: TNA. I was a fan of TNA going back to the days of weekly pay-per-views. The World X Cup that featured the man who banged everyone's mother in the early 2000s, Hector Garza, was probably the last time wrestling felt like a sport to me. TNA was a viable competitor with a stacked roster on a major cable network that, for better or worse, went head-to-head with Monday Night Raw in a bold yet utterly disastrous move. Ratings-wise, it was raking in more than 3 times what Dynamite gets on a weekly basis. But an over-reliance on a main eventer that no one bought as legitimate, coupled with the unhinged booking of a demented man-child, an easily manipulated daughter of a billionaire, and the Hulk Hogan effect, brought this once powerful company into the mud. TNA became Impact Wrestling, and it faded into obscurity. But the company has rebranded itself back to TNA, and under the direction of wrestling veteran Scott D'Amore, it's seeing something of a renaissance. TNA's Hard to Kill pay-per-view was very well received, and this week's episode of Impact was the most fun I had watching wrestling in years, with wrestlers like Jake Something, the Grizzled Young Veterans, and Josh Alexander really standing out. Wrestling fans are getting excited again at the emergence of a new and albeit old challenger coming onto the field. That leads many to wonder, could TNA rise up and be bigger than there we go.
TK Tooney Khan, wrestling savior, and he's the bomb. Yeah, he's TK Tooney Khan. He's giving wrestlers hugs, and he might be on drugs. Yeah, he's TK.
Boo! Boo! Hiss! Shenanigans!
Yes, hello, Tooney Khan.
I can't believe you would spout such nonsense out here, monster. TNA overtake me and my AEW? That's a laugh. That pathetic organization is lucky that it still exists. How dare they try to go beyond their station and grow? They were perfectly fine right where they were. TNA is an insult to real pro wrestling, and it's destined for failure.
You know, a lot of people say that about you and AEW.
Well, yes, but my dad is rich, so my opinion on this matters more.
What happened to the wrestling community coming together and supporting one another? You know, the forbidden door?
The forbidden door swings one way into my company where it can benefit me.
Oh, is that why you counter-programmed Hard to Kill with Battle of the Belts?
Hey, this is business and you gotta do what you have to do.
Okay, well what about when WWE counter-programs your shows?
God, those evil, greedy, corporate fat cat fascists. Can you believe they do something so heinous to a small, emerging business like mine?
Small, emerging? But what about TNA?
Crushed beneath my heel like the dust they are.
What happened to enjoy all wrestling? Isn't that what your fans like to say all the time when people say AEW sucks?
Yeah, enjoy all wrestling, as in all elite wrestling. Duh. We just shortened it up like saying pro wrestling instead of professional wrestling. You see, my supporters are statistically smarter, busier, and sexier than WWE fans, and they need these little life hacks to save time.
Look, TNA is a legitimate company, and they're making a legitimate play at growing back to what they used to be.
Those ingrates.
What do you possibly mean there?
Don't you remember how I worked with them in the past? The wonderful gifts I bestowed upon them? I appeared on their show personally every week to cut heel promos about how awful their company was with absolutely no payoff whatsoever.
Jeez, do you hear yourself right now?
And then I gave them my Kenny Omega to come in and win their world title and demolish their entire roster.
How did that help anyone? Didn't one of Omega's appearances draw the lowest impact rating of all time with just 69,000 viewers?
And then I graciously allowed them to have my Christian beat my Kenny Omega on my Rampage show.
So you didn't let them use Kenny's name recognition to put over one of their stars, and you swapped their world title from one of your guys to another one of your guys on your show.
I am such a good person.
All right, moving on to my favorite topic, Chris Jericho.
Uh-oh.
AEW has been going to great lengths to silence the Chris Jericho sexual harassment allegation story that we covered on the show last week. A leaked production sheet from an arena security guard shows that they're confiscating signs that reference Kylie Ray or any signs that say anything remotely negative about Chris Jericho at all. Tooney, what is AEW's official stance on these allegations against Chris Jericho?
Look, AEW is doing great right now. It's really great how we're all coming together to put on great shows for our great fans. I think if you look at modern cable trends, you'll see how great we're performing with our great network partners. We're seeing some great passion from our great fans, and our television ratings have never been greater. If you look at the Continental Classic, it was really great. Just the greatest tournament, and I had a lot of great feedback from some of the greatest wrestlers on our great roster. And our roster has never been greater, or had greater passion for this great industry. I just think it's really great.
That doesn't answer my question.
Oh, I'm sorry, what was the question?
What's AEW's official stance on the allegations against Chris Jericho?
Well, when you look at things being said on the internet, I think you'll see we're getting some great feedback on great sites like Cage Match, where the ratings have been great, and...
Okay, enough. I withdraw the question.
Great!
Anyway, as I was saying, every time Jericho makes a TV appearance, we're seeing actions taken by AEW to drown out the fan boos and NDA chants. Whether that's piping in fan noise or playing Jericho's theme music over a run-in, this ultimately leads to a whole bunch of a mess where Stop it! Right now! Damn it, turn that off! As I was saying, trying to silence the voice of the fans has created an environment where we're starting to see fan voices.
What have I become?
Damn it!
Now
Stop it!
betrayed.
You know, you can put this whole situation to bed by saying that there's no validity to these rumors, that you've never gotten a sexual harassment allegation against Chris Jericho, and that an NDA has never been issued to silence issues of that nature whatsoever in the history of AEW.
True.
All right, so we can do that now?
Nope.
All right, moving on. Big news this week came after the USA Network tweeted some shade at Tony Khan about cage match rankings, causing Tony Khan to go on an unhinged Twitter tantrum, launching into a diatribe about the win-loss records of AEW wrestler Hook and WWE superstar Jinder Mahal.
Jinder Mahal. That absolute nothing, that jobber, that complete jabroni. What has he ever done? Former WWE champion, years upon years of wrestling experience? Please, he's got nothing on my Hook.
A skinny rookie who hangs out with Orange Cassidy?
Hey, what's wrong with that? I hang out with Orange Cassidy.
Well, that makes my point for me.
Look, Hook's professional record speaks for itself. 28-1. They don't just give records like that out for nothing.
What?
I am tired of the double standard. What did WWE do to build up Jinder Mahal for such a spot after he hadn't won a match in over a year?
They put him in a promo with The Rock.
Oh, shit, that's right.
And do you really think that the head of a major wrestling company needs to be going on unhinged Twitter rants about win-loss records that he personally controls, while one of his top stars is being accused of sexual harassment in the workplace with a massive cover-up that's being happened on every show? And son of a bitch, will you stop that? All right, finally this week, I wanted to touch on some news out of the WWE.
Ew, why?
WWE superstars Grayson Waller and LA Knight recently appeared on an Australian talk show where the hosts got a little too lot with the mainstream media. They treat wrestling like a circus and wrestlers like performing clowns. What we're seeing here is Grayson Waller stand up for wrestling and defend the business against these people. It was an old school action that protected wrestling's honor and legitimacy, and I think he should be commended for it.
What? That is one of the most revolting displays of inappropriate behavior I've ever seen in and around pro wrestling.
Are you serious?
Of course I am. Wrestling is supposed to be silly and fun and funny. It's something you giggle about with your friends, something that anyone can do. It's fake, and the world knows it, so why is this moron going out there and trying to pretend that it's anything other than a silly, fun, fake playground that everyone is invited to?
You know, I thought you might have this take, so I invited a friend here today for you to meet.
Oh boy, I love making new friends.
Tooney Khan, meet Dave Schultz.
Oh, hi, Dave. I'm Tooney
You think it's fake?
What's
that? Is that fake? Huh? What the hell's wrong with you? That's open hand slap, huh? You think it's fake? Huh?
You're despicable.
Well, that's the headlines for this week. Check back next Friday for more Headlock headlines and any other videos we might be cooking up here at Tooneytown Wrestling. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Click the little bell icon to get notified of new videos as they drop. For Tooney Khan, I'm Marvin the Movie Monster. This has been episode 2 of the Headlock headlines. Now get out of here! Well, that's the headlines for this week.
Tooneytown Wrestling, huh? Wait till they get a load of me. Time to play the game!